Welcome to the Rock and Roll and Good News program. I am David Esposito, founder and managing partner of Harvest Time Partners and host for today's program. If you have not done so before, please review the background on the program, which is available on our YouTube channel and our website at harvesttimepartners.com. As we begin this episode, please know that you matter. Regardless of what you are struggling with, regardless of the depths of your sorrow, and regardless of how lonely you feel, the good news is that you matter. I know you may not feel it right now, but you do matter. I hope this upcoming message nourishes you in the most meaningful way to comfort you and strengthen you to keep climbing into the ring to face your battles. Today's episode is titled Decide and Commit, Part 1. Today's episode starts with a song from Van Morrison titled Brown Eyed Girl. Please spend a few minutes listening to any version you can find on the internet. Welcome back. I am sure the song Brown Eyed Girl brings back some great memories for all of us. It is one of those songs that transcends generations and provides a joyful lift to people's spirits. Van Morrison continues to blend his working class roots from growing up in Ireland into many of his songs. He also weaves in a great deal of faith into his songs that have comforted many over the 6 decades of his musical career. Van Morrison has effectively managed the challenges of fame and fortune to continue to create a positive impact on so many around the world, and certainly his hometown of Belfast, Ireland. The song helps us connect with love and a reminder of how special a loving relationship is to a meaningful life. When we move beyond just an adolescent crush or passionate connection, and we move to an adult choice to love someone with a commitment that is intended to last forever, we quickly learn that it is not that easy. Making a commitment to love someone through sickness or health, through riches or poverty, and in good days or bad days is not easy. The adolescent-like feelings of a crush or infatuation or hormone-driven passion eventually faces the reality of two deeply flawed humans coming together and trying to make a go at becoming committed for the long haul. And it is not easy for any of us. In the journey of building a long-term commitment with that special someone, times will get tough. Despite what the fairy tales will tell us, there is never a happily ever after. There will always be tough times in any long-term relationship. In those tough times, we can often feel all alone, and perhaps that quit looks good, and we should break things off, cut our losses, and move on. We find some helpful guidance to address difficult relationships in the ancient scriptures that guide the majority of faiths today. And in this instance, we look specifically to the ancient scripture found in the first book of Samuel, chapter 25. Please find a version of this scripture on the internet. The background of this situation is that David, who has not yet become king of Israel, is building his base of loyal followers and earns a living by using his posse to provide security for the land and possessions of some wealthy landowners in and around Israel. One of those wealthy landowners is a man named Nabal. As described in 1 Samuel chapter 25, Nabal is mean and surly. He's a real jerk, if you get the point. And his wife Abigail is described as intelligent and beautiful. Before going further into the story, it is important to note how ancient scriptures describe women as both having intelligence and beauty. It is a stark contrast to what a lot of people today who are familiar with the facts think about traditional teaching from Jewish and Christian scripture. Many people have a false impression that ancient scripture does not bring reverence, respect, and honor to women. That misconception could not be further from the truth. The ancient scriptures that guide the Jewish and Christian faiths consistently reinforce the strength and intelligence of women as critical to building effective communities, families, and a society as a whole. Modern times and many individuals may have perverted this view recently, but the facts are that ancient scriptures that form the foundational guidance of Jewish and Christian faiths have always reinforced the importance and unique character of women as strong, intelligent, and beautiful. Now back to the story of Nabal and Abigail. David and his followers have been protecting Nabal and his property for over the farming season. As part of providing this protection, it was customary for wealthy landowners to pay for this protection. When David's men came for payment, Nabal basically said no and insulted David with a comment, "Who is this David that he should seek payment from me?" When David's men returned with Nabal's message, David planned to seek revenge and ordered his men to put on your swords as they were ready to go kill Nabal and destroy his property. One of Nabal's servants observed what happened and ran to tell Abigail about Nabal's rude response to David's men. Unfortunately, this was a common behavior that Abigail had witnessed over the many years of her marriage to Nabal. Nabal would be described in modern times as someone who was a drunk, a verbally abusive person, and a selfish pig in all of his close relationships, especially to his wife Abigail. In summary, here's the situation. Nabal is a rude, arrogant jerk and is about to be killed for his poor judgment and behavior. Abigail was placed into an arranged marriage to this jerk and has endured his selfishness for many years. Abigail knows what is about to happen, and she has a choice about what to do. Silently and passively let things play out, and Nabal will be killed, and this miserable relationship will be over, or she could take some action. What would you or I do? You were forced into a terrible relationship and a long-term commitment to somebody who is an absolute jerk. And now you have a potential face-saving, no-blame way out of it. What would you do? In verse 18, we see how Abigail responded. In the scripture, it says, she lost no time and made preparations to meet David and his army far away from her home with Nabal to jump out in front of David's threats for revenge and try to plead for David's mercy to not kill her husband. The scripture is clear in that Abigail made a commitment to build this relationship for the long term, no matter how difficult it was in the present. She decided in a very difficult moment to stand in the gap between David and the certain death of her miserable husband Nabal. Abigail ends up saving Nabal's life from the hands and swords of David's army. Abigail, whom this ancient Jewish scripture described as intelligent and beautiful, now had options in her life, but she made a decision to stick with the commitment to build her marriage. For better or worse, when clearly she was experiencing much more for worse than for better. The story of Abigail, Nabal, and David is a good reminder that close relationships, especially marriage, are never happily ever after. We make choices every day that help build on our commitment or detract on our commitment. Sticking with a relationship or ending a relationship are all very personal and often very difficult decisions between couples. Our place is not to judge, but to provide love and support to those working through what is the most heartbreaking of all of life's conflicts. Struggling relationships in the home are always the most difficult. Take a moment to reflect on the following questions. When did I realize that happily ever after was indeed a fairy tale in my closest relationships? And what actions am I currently doing that help support my closest relationships? And what actions hurt my closest relationships? As you continue along with your closest relationships, please remember that we all find ourselves feeling all alone and at times when quit looks good. It can feel almost too much to endure. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed and in a dark valley of your closest relationships, please remember that number one, God promises and is always faithful to help comfort us, and we should call on Him in our time of need. And number two, please reach out to a close friend to talk, and please consider me one of your friends today. As you reflect on the message, please take a moment and search the internet to find and listen to If I Needed You. This is a song written by Townes Van Zandt, and there are various artists who sing this wonderful song of love and support. Please take a moment and find that song, If I Needed You, and take a listen. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this message. And as we conclude this message, please know that you do matter, regardless of what you are struggling with, regardless of the depths of your sorrows, and regardless of how lonely you feel. The good news is that you matter. I hope this message nourished you in the most meaningful way to comfort you and strengthen you to keep climbing into the ring to face your battles. This concludes today's episode entitled Decide and Commit Part 1. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive updates on new episodes and log on to our website at harvesttimepartners.com to explore the many products and services we have to help you be your best for those you care about most. And please feel free to reach out to me directly at david@harvesttimepartners.com or call or text my mobile at 269-370-9275. Thank you for listening.